Sure, I just have a few items here. I had the pleasure last week of attending a mock congressional hearing at Hancock Elementary School with fifth grader students, fifth graders of Mrs. Flowers. I was there along with the mayor, a local delegate, and some other members of the community to listen to fifth graders talk about the Constitution and the Articles of Confederation. And it was quite impressive to hear everything that they knew about the founding of our government. And also, I wanted to mention there was a Herald Mail article talking about our county's jobless rate is down to 3.6% for the month of April, I believe. And I certainly don't believe it's government that creates jobs, but I would like to thank our county's business development department. I know I've attended many meetings with them, helping local businesses, potential businesses into our community, and just help them walk the hurdles of government. Government can put some hindrances on businesses, and believe it or not, our county department, I think, does help walk businesses through some of that red tape. So I just, I think they weren't mentioned in that article, but I think they should have been, and I would like to thank our county staff for their involvement with that. I would also like to thank our county treasurer, Todd Hershey. I had a business reach out to me several days ago about their business tax return, and it was something that was handled by Todd Hershey's office. I reached out to Todd to help get some clarification, and there's a little bit of misunderstanding on the business's part, and Todd was very helpful in his staff in getting a resolution. So I just want to thank our county at all levels for being business friendly in the community. So that's all.
Thank you, Wayne. Commissioner Wagner, comments?
Believe it or not, I don't have a whole lot to say. It was just over, we just come out from Memorial Day. I had the pleasure of attending as many Memorial Day celebrations and honors for the veterans as I could. I know President Klein was probably at 100 of them. I don't know, but
102.
yeah, but you know, I'm a veteran, and I try to support all the veterans the best I can, and just to be there. And I know the one in Smithburg was very nice. Had a Vietnam War veteran speak to us, and I visited the Vietnam Memorial, and there was another one. I can't remember them all, but anyway, it was Cedar Lawn. This county does honors of veterans on those few days we had. They were all very, very nice memorials. So that's all I have.
Just want to say a couple things. I was at Portfolio Day for the job development programs for all of our high schools in Washington County out there. It was held at the library. It was an excellent event for what those students are doing and be able to present what they're capable of doing, and some of them were graduating and trying to move on to different jobs in the community. So it was excellent. Just yesterday, I was at the Williamsport Elementary. Their third grade classes. Was able to speak to them about the role of government in the economy. It was kind of fun, some of the questions that they had. It's always enlightening what they have. Would also like to wish best of luck to all the Special Olympic athletes from Washington County. We have the state games this weekend at Towson. Starting Friday, goes throughout the weekend. I'll be there for the opening ceremonies. And then I want to apologize to everybody, but I won't be here next week. I've got a NACO event, a National Association County, at the White House, and then also they've got the White House Regional Local Government Workshop that I'll be attending next week. So I apologize, but I won't be able to be here.
Thank you, Court. Again, I'd like to express thanks to all the organizations who did have the Memorial Day event. I did ride in the parade for Boonesboro and Sharpsburg, and if I'm correct, Sharpsburg is the longest ongoing active Memorial Day parade in the United States. So a tribute to both of those towns for keeping those parade traditions alive. I did also attend the traditional Memorial Day services at Halfway County Park and at the Funkstown Legion and at Smithsburg. And if the commissioners remember, we voted to award them some money for a monument for the Smithsburg High School graduate, and I forget his name offhand, who was killed, I believe, in Afghanistan. And they had his parents there for the unveiling of the tribute with a monument to mark his sacrifice to our country. So it was a very moving for that. And one thing I want to agree with Wayne, government, get out of the way. Get out of the way, help people over the hurdles, and that's good economic development. So very good points. and then also attended Congressman Trone's opening of his office in Hagerstown. It's nice to see Congressman Trone and Trencher place himself in this community with an office where people can go and actually, whether he's not there, to see some of his staff members. So that concludes my reports, and I'd like to move on to reports from county staff. County staff, please come forward. Thank you, Scott.
Afternoon.
Good
Scott
afternoon.
Hobbs, Director of Engineering for Washington County. Wanted to give a brief update on Garrett's Mill Road Bridge, the flooding, South County flooding projects. There have been some setbacks over the spring, but that being said, the contractor is now scheduled to set the precast concrete units this week, hopefully tomorrow, weather permitting. That is the precast concrete unit, big structures with the large cranes that'll be setting the structure, with backfill occurring next week. The precast footings were set last week at the project. The anticipated reopening of the road at the bridge is scheduled for the week of June 17th. Notices will be provided for the reopening of the road as we get closer to that date. There is a project incentive disincentive clause and liquidated damages that have been accruing at totaling $1,500 per day for every day the road's not reopened to traffic. So we're monitoring the project. We're moving forward on it with the contractor, working together to see if that can be open here shortly. So if there's any questions on that.
But there's a lady who lives close by there, Miss Anderson. I think you all have been communicating with her on this. So I just maybe make sure she's aware of this personally, because she lives right there and it's been a big concern. But we are on track. We have been monitoring the contractor, and what I just heard you say, they're in a penalty phase.
That's correct.
So it behooves them to meet that June 17th.
Yes, and we've been making contacts with local neighbors to share with them the latest updates. And like I said, moving forward, we're looking forward to this project being done here shortly.
Thank you for keeping those neighbors updated.
Sure. And we're continuing on the other projects in South County. A lot of the work has been done to date. We have a little more work over at Harper's Ferry, McCoy's Road, so you'll be seeing those projects upcoming. But the majority of the work, once Garrett's Mill is done, Back Road project is another project that we've been working on and evaluating the bids for that. So I'll be sharing that shortly with everyone. And that would be our final large project that would be done as part of that South County flooding from last year.
Thank you, Scott.
Sure. Thanks.
Any other county staff for a report?
Deborah Kondo, Deputy Director of Human Resources. I met with you earlier, Susan Small, Director of Business Development, and I met with you to present a candidate for the position of Business Leader within the Division of Business Development for consideration of the position. Jonathan Horowitz was an outstanding candidate that we submitted to you for consideration. We did do 2 rounds of interviews. There were 9 interviews that were conducted. We did have 56 applicants for the position, and Jonathan by far was the most outstanding candidate.
Commissioners, comments, questions? Grade 15 needs our approval, correct?
That's correct.
Motion to approve.
Second? Second. First and a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you. Any more staff reports? Sarah, do you have anything that you want to add? Rob, anything you'd like to add?
Yes, President Klein, a couple things. Thank you. First of all, a reminder to everyone who may not know already, 6 o'clock budget hearing tonight. That is here. Commissioner goals, each of you have one of these books in front of you. In that is goals from FY19, and inserted in that are the draft goals for FY20 for the commissioner goals. please take a look at those. I'll bring those to you again next week. If you have anything either individually or here, please share with me while we'll get those worked on and submitted to Sarah's office for incorporation into the next fiscal year budget book. Also in there are the strategic imperatives, which we worked on, both elected officials and staff. Those are included in your budget books. In that is only the summary of those that I've included. Finally, in that budget book are the county administrator goals. I'd very much like your inside opinion, feedback on those goals. Those will be brought to you more formally again next week. Commissioner Meinerschmidt, I understand you won't be here. If there's anything that you see, please, I'd like to hear from each one of you, either collectively or independently, to get your feedback to be sure we're on the course that you'd like to go as an elected body and individual commissioners. Garrett's Mill, I was down Sunday. Thank you, Scott, for that update. I was down Sunday to speak to one of the neighbors. He was very patient gentleman on the nearer side, the 67 side, understanding that there is high water. He did ask for some cleanup when they do depart from the site. And I know that our staff does a fantastic job with the contractor to restore it to better or equal condition. So I know you'll work with them, Scott, to do that. And I do know that we had damages in place, as Scott said, $1,500 a day, and I think we're now, even with some of the weather delays, we're now well into the damage category for each additional day is actually costing the contractor more. And I would personally like to say to the individuals affected by that bridge closure and to the commissioners that I apologize for the delay. I would have liked to seen a better approach by the contractor than he has presented. This is the last job as that contractor. He is selling the company and will no longer be as heavily involved. Is that correct, Scott? Okay. So that is moving forward. Final things I'd like to share with the commissioners is that, as reported and requested earlier, the accounting practices for emergency services and fire it is on the street, an RFP. We did hold the pre-bid meeting. And secondly, and independently of that, the auditing procedures for Smithsburg, which were brought to you earlier weeks, that is also in the process of being procured by Smithsburg EMS with oversight by Washington County. So both those are in process moving forward.
Thank you, Rob. Krista, did you have something?
I do.
Thank you.
As county clerk, I would like the board to officially vote to constitute the ad hoc ethics ordinance, a member selection review committee with the following members. We would like to appoint Juliana Appowitz, Carolyn Brooks, Don Stevenson, Michelle Forrest, Ernie Crowfoot, and retired Judge France. This committee was discussed in the April 2nd, 2019 open session meeting where the board voted to establish this committee. Once the committee is established, a meeting will be scheduled, and within 90 days, it's expected that the committee would have a report back to the commissioners on their findings.
You need any action on that committee?
Yes, I'd like a vote, please.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve those names as stated.
Motions or a second?
This is
Have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, 5-0. Thank you very much, Krista. Anything else?
Yes, sir.
One more?
I have
Two more.
I have the Washington County Board of Social Services. They would like to a vote to appoint Ms. Bridget Jones-Smith to serve a first 3-year term from June 1st, 2019 through May 31st, 2022 to fill a vacancy that was created by a resignation.
Motion to approve, Ms. Jones-Smith. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, 5-0. One
And
more?
finally, I have the Washington County Board of Zoning Appeals. They are asking for a vote to reappoint Mr. Paul Falk and Mr. Michael Zampelli, each to serve their second full 3-year term through June 30th of 2022 as regular members. Additionally, they are also asking to appoint Mr. Robert Myers to serve a first term as an alternate member on the same committee.
Commissioner, motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much, Krista. Anything else?
No, sir, that's all.
Thank you. Mr. Downey, do you have a report?
Yes, one item briefly. Commissioners, if you recall, there was a vote at the last meeting to raise sewer rates by 3%. The County Attorney's Office has prepared the resolution establishing or adopting the scheduled utility rates for fiscal year 2020, which includes that 3% increase in sewer rates. All other water rates remain the same. This is simply the formal adoption of those rates, and it puts them all in one document for convenience.
Requesting a vote?
Yes, appropriate a motion to approve the resolution adopting the scheduled utility rates for fiscal year 2020, which includes a modification of sewer rates for the Department of Water Quality.
Commissioners, I have a proposed motion. Is there a first for it?
I have a quick question. Would it be appropriate to wait till after tonight's meeting if we're going to do everything, or should we do it now since?
I don't think it makes any difference. Now, the rates need to be adopted before you vote on the budget, because the budget has assumptions that are based on what the rates are.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. If you want to wait, we can. We just need to remember to adopt this before the rest of the budget items. But there's nothing wrong with
Commissioners,
adopting it now.
discussion on it before a motion's asked?
Anybody have a thought on waiting versus doing it now?
I agree, Kirk. I don't think it matters. I do.
Do commissioners want to vote on this? If not, if so, I'd entertain a motion.
Do we have changes to the budget that we don't know about yet, or?
Not that I know of.
Calling for a motion, or
Make the motion to approve the resolution.
there's a first. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. As those saying no? Okay, 5-0. Thank you, Kirk, for your suggestion.
Thank you.
Any other county staff that I may have missed? Citizens' participation. Please come forward. Name and address for the record, please. Thank you, sir.
My name is Randy Barber. I live at 20028 Millbrook Road, Keysville. I'm also chair of the Democratic Central Committee of Washington County, and I approach you to discuss what I learned recently in the Herald Mail, that Hager Hall has now closed and has informed the Board of Elections that they will not be able to accommodate early voting, which the Board of Elections had previously understood they would be able to use. We have a state mandated deadline of, I think it's September 20 something, but nonetheless, September this year, to identify an early voting location for the April primaries. And we also need then, on a rolling basis, to identify the same thing for the purposes of the general election. And I have a question and a suggestion. My question is, what are the county commissioners doing to ensure that we actually identify a place where people can vote early? Because right now, although I understand there are several different proposals floating out there, I also understand none of them have at least been deemed acceptable by everybody who's making that decision. So that's the question. All right.
Well, I'll defer that to
We don't
Rob.
respond and answer, but this is a significant question. Rob, could you provide something brief where staff is with that?
Yes, sir. So first of all, the county commissioners fully fund the election board in their budget. So that is happening. This is of recent news, I believe, as you said, in the past 2 weeks. And further, that the election board, it would not be appropriate for the commissioners or elected officials to make a determination of where that will be, but the election board must, as an independent body. And as such, the election board can certainly approach staff, and we will reach out to them to see how we may be able to assist them.
Okay, and I've been doing at least some research on this, and just what I think is a simple suggestion. There are multiple stakeholders institutionally, which include obviously the election board, the county and the county commissioners, city council, the elected officials in this county, and the official political parties in this county. And my suggestion is that a meeting of all the stakeholders be convened to discuss both the short-term solution to the early voting locations for the primary in April, and to at least discuss potentially a longer-term solution to the local board of elections offices, training sites, and the required early voting locations. It's my understanding that by 2022, we have to have at least 2 in the county. In any case, that's my suggestion.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Is there any other citizens who'd like to comment? Please come forward. Seeing none, we'll move forward to the presentation of Youth Meritus Awards, and I think we have Dylan Albowitz, Mr. Wagner, and would you?
All right, Dylan Abowitz, front and center, I guess. Are
Okay,
we going to do this
yeah,
first?
let her do the introduction.
Allison Hartshorn, Office of Grant Management. Throughout the school year, the Board of County Commissioners presents the Youth Meritorious Awards to students attending both public and private schools, or those being homeschooled in Washington County. The following individuals have been selected based on their scholastic achievement, leadership qualities, community service performed, or other positive contributions to their school and community. These exceptional youth have consistently worked in distinguishing themselves as model students and members of our county. It's with my pleasure to present the following youth for recognition today. We have Dylan Albowitz from Clear Spring Middle School. With him today is his parents, Mark Albowitz and Heather Alshire. And then also we have William, come on up, from Clear Spring, his brother Albowitz from Clear Spring High School. His parents are also Mark Albowitz and Heather Alshire.
Thank you very much. So you two are related, right?
Yeah.
Would both of you come forward to us?
Now we need both of you front and center. Dylan, you're all that. I just read this thing. You're all that, aren't you? And William's probably the same way. I think everybody introduced who's all here for you, but it's gonna be hard to be humble when I read this, Dylan. This is a Youth Meritus Award. Dylan is a member of the National Junior Honor Society. He is in the Scholar Program of Study at Clear Spring Middle School and has maintained honor roll status every marking period. He is a member of the Student Council. He just completed in the state archery competition and was a top 7th grade finisher for his school. His school finished 3rd overall and could be attending the national competition in Kentucky in May. He is a member of the Hagerstown Revolution travel soccer team who recently finished 1st in the Baltimore Mania tournament in Owings Mills, Maryland. He is a member of the Mid-Maryland JV basketball team, the Red Man Pony League team, the Clear Spring Soccer Club team. He also plays saxophone in the Clear Spring Middle School band, has been selected 2 years in a row for All-County Band. Dylan volunteers when needed at his church, Mooresville Church of God. Dylan is the hardest working young man I know. Dylan gives 110% at everything he does, and he was endorsed by Deborah Alshire, endorsed all that. So I'm going to read this proclamation. It says certificate of recognition and recognition of your outstanding achievements in being selected as a recipient of the June 2019 Youth Meritus Award. Your academic accomplishments, leadership, and extracurricular activities are to be commended by both adult and peers in Washington County. In all aspects, you have shown yourself to be a superior role model for all youth. We, the Board of County Commissioners of Washington County, Maryland, do hereby congratulate you on your achievements, Dylan.
Thank you.
We're going to, here, hold that. Shake my hand. There you go. You did, oh yeah, I almost forgot this. I almost took his home with me. There's a $100 Staples gift card.
This one says 300 on it.
Oh, William. And a pin that you have to wear proudly, but we won't, I'll try to find you, see if you got that on.
Thank you, Commissioner Wagner. Thank you, Dylan. Before I begin, these two young men, I think, have a famous grandmother. She set the record for the longest retirement run in Washington County, representing a U.S. congressman. Grandma, see you. Nice to see you there. Thank you all for being here today. And I would also like to read your summary. Deborah Alshire endorsed the following. William has maintained distinguished honor roll status every marking period since the 8th grade. He takes AP, merit, and honor classes. He was accepted in the school's National Spanish Honor Society. To qualify, you must maintain a 90% every marking period in the 7th grade. He is a member of the Clear Spring High School golf team. William has been taking lessons and been playing the piano since 5th grade and plays at his church on special occasions. He has played the guitar. Did I say that right? That's my Williamsport accent there. Guitar. He has played the guitar for the past 2 years. He volunteers at his brethren's athletic events and at his church, Mercersville Church of God, when needed. He recently obtained his driver's license permit. William is the most polite and hard-working young man that I know. His schoolwork is very important to him, and that was presented by Deborah Alshire. Congratulations to that. And what I'd also like to read officially to you into the record, the certificate of recognition for William Albowitz. In recognition of your outstanding achievement in being selected as a recipient of the June 2019 Youth Meritus Award, your academic accomplishments, leadership, and extracurricular activities are to be commended by both adults and peers in Washington County. In all aspects, you have shown yourself to be a superior role model for all youth. We, the Board of County Commissioners of Washington County, Maryland, do hereby congratulate you on these achievements. Congratulations to you. Let's get a picture holding up that certificate, your brother.
Ready? Thank you. Get a group shot.
1 second here, right behind you. And we too would like to present you with a gift card and our George Washington lapel pin. Again, congratulations to you. May we get some group pictures, commissioners, with the award winners? Oh yeah, we can get the parents as they come up here too. And
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Debbie, go ahead.
Oh, okay. between them, Debbie. Okay. Hold on. Ready? Here, hold, Mom, wait. 1, 2. That's good. No, Julie. Hey, let me get you two. Stand there by yourselves. 1, 2, 3. Smile pretty.
We be eat like Vikings right now. Huh?
How about the big people?
Tag going, yeah. He's supporting this organization, baby.
Krista, where are we at?
Oh,
Healthy Smiles.
how about the Park and Rec thing?
Okay,
Maybe I'm gonna listen to
healthy, where'd I get Healthy Smiles at? Hey, I'm gonna have trophies, new glasses. The vision line is different.
I think.
All right, we'd like to continue with our meeting. F20 Healthy Families Home Visiting Grant. I believe Allison.
Good afternoon again.
Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. Allison Hartshorn, Grant Manager, Office of Grant Management. Today, I'm seeking the approval for the submission of the grant application to the Maryland State Department of Education for the amount of $277,993 and accept the funding as awarded. The Healthy Families Home Visiting Program is a comprehensive program modeled after the nationally renowned initiative Healthy Families America. The goals of the program are to prevent child maltreatment through the early intervention, promote healthy growth and development, and strengthen parent-child relationships. The Washington County Health Department is the vendor contracted to provide these services. Funding in the amount of $6,950 is included in the award for the county admin support. No county funds are involved in this award. Any questions?
Commissioners, any questions?
Motion to approve.
Motion, there's a second. Is there a second? Second. Any other questions? All in favor? Say aye. Aye. All right, thank you very much. Next, Governor's Office of Crime Control and Prevention Funding Acceptance.
Good afternoon. I'm Stephanie Leopold, Senior Grant Manager with the Office of Grant Management, and here with me today is Rebecca Hogemeyer, Program Director with the Washington County Sheriff's Office Day Reporting Center. We're seeking approval for the acceptance of $25,571 of funding from the Governor's Office of Crime Control and Prevention, and approval for the corresponding budget adjustment. The Governor's Office of Crime Control and Prevention has awarded the Day Reporting Center funds for the purchase of audio-visual recording equipment for use during implementation of an evidence-based practice for parent-child interaction therapy to strengthen the relationship between parents and children and to improve family functioning with the goal of reducing the impact of incarceration on children, families, and communities. In addition, the funding will be used to provide moral recognition therapy training to 12 Day Reporting Center and Adult Drug Court team members and community partners, as well as the purchase of 48 participant workbooks. There is no match associated with the grant, and the grant will not result in recurring expenses for the county. The grant funds must be expended by June 30th, 2019. The grant will provide $16,571 for the visual the audiovisual equipment, and $9,000 for training materials. Are there any questions?
Rebecca, it seems like you have a short time frame.
I do.
Do you have enough time to get this done?
I applied for it in March, and it's taken the governor's office this long to get things in place and award the money, but everything is in place. I will have everything spent by June 30th.
Okay.
Will you be receiving all of the audio and visual equipment by June 30th?
Yes, yeah.
Commissioners, any more questions? Motion? Not?
Motion to approve.
Second. Second.
First and second, any further discussion? Hearing none, motion to approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Contract award, heating oil. Please come forward. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Brandy Noggle in the Purchasing Department.
Andrew Eshelman, Director of Public Works.
The first recommendation I have for you today is for the contract award of the number 2 heating fuel. We move to concur with the recommendation from the Washington County Public School Board to award the contract for Washington County's number 2 heating fuel to the lowest responsive bidder of James River Solutions out of Ashland, Virginia, who submitted the bid factor of 14 cents per gallon for tank wagon deliveries. Washington County government, along with the City of Hagerstown, cooperatively bid the fuel requirements with the Washington County Public Schools. At its meeting on Tuesday, May 7th, 2019, the Washington County Public Schools awarded the contract for tank wagon loads to the responsible bidder of James River Solutions. Their per gallon cost over the weekly wholesale average price for the number 2 heating fuel as per published in the OPIS pricing based out of Baltimore, Maryland. The contract is effective July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020. The county may renew up to 3 consecutive one-year terms. Funds are budgeted in the individual departments for this commodity.
Commissioners, any questions?
Motion to approve.
Second. Second.
Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, motion to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bid award. Hauling and recycling, welcome back. Who are we missing?
Dave Mason, that's okay, I'll go ahead and present. The next recommendation is for the bid award 1414 for the hauling and recycling of scrap metals and removal recovery of refrigerant gases. Move to award the contract for the hauling and recycling of scrap metals and removal of refrigerant gases to the responsible bidder of Allegheny Scrap out of Cumberland, Maryland, who submitted the rebate percentage of 40% per gross ton. The county shall be compensated at a rate of 40% of the posted consumer buying price for number 2 bundles, as quoted in the American Metal Market monthly publication. The percentage shall remain the same for the duration of the contract. The bid was posted on the eMaryland Marketplace website, the county's website, and the local newspapers. 8 companies downloaded the document. 1 bid was received. The contract is due to begin on July 1st, 2019. And the county has the option to renew for 2 additional consecutive one-year terms.
Since there was only 1 bid received, does this 40%, is that a normal range?
Yes, it's
Okay.
the same percentage as last year.
Motion to approve.
Here's a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
First and a second. Any further questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess you're next again, aren't you?
Yeah.
Man, you're all over. Thank you. Please continue. Elevator maintenance.
The next recommendation I have for you today is for the bid award of PUR 1415 elevator maintenance services for county facilities. We move to award the bid for elevator maintenance services to the responsible bidder of Landmark Elevator out of Hagerstown, Maryland, who submitted the lowest total sum bid of $46,728. On May 1st of 2019, the county accepted the bids for elevator maintenance. It was advertised on eMaryland Marketplace website, local newspaper, and on the county website. Four companies downloaded the document. We did receive one bid. The contract is for a one-year term, commencing July 1st, 2019, with the county's option to renew up to 4 additional one-year periods. This is also includes the Washington County Health Department and the free library.
The option to renew, is there a clause for any increase?
There is none existing in this current solicitation now.
For those options for 4 consecutive years, there wouldn't be any increase if we accept it. Okay. Commissioners, any other questions?
No.
Comments? If not,
Did I miss something? That's just the service agreement, right? Just the service agreement for all the elevators listed?
That is correct, the maintenance, yes.
Okay, thank you.
any other comments? Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any more questions, comments? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next bid award, electrician services at county facilities. Welcome back.
The next recommendation I have for you today is for the bid award PUR 1417 for electrician services for county facilities. We move to award the bid for electrician services to the responsible bidder of Cube Electric out of Williamsport, Maryland, who submitted the lowest total base bid amount, $45,500, based on hourly rates and formula contained in the bid dated April 29, 2019. The rates are below. The contract is for a one-year period, commencing on July 1st, 2019, with the option for the county to renew up to 4 additional consecutive one-year periods. It is for county facilities. It also includes the Health Department, the Children's Village, Museum of Fine Arts, county housing buildings, and the Washington County Free Library. As all of our bids, this was advertised in a local newspaper, the State of Maryland's eMaryland Marketplace website, and the county website. 17 companies downloaded the document. 4 bids were received. Funds are budgeted in the various departments for this commodity.
Comments?
This is the same company that's been servicing all along, right?
That is correct.
Yeah, and they do a good job. Yeah.
Yes, they do.
Motion to accept.
Is there a second?
Second.
First and second, any further comments? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Next. Bid award, heating and venting.
This is my last one, I promise.
That's why I didn't say welcome back.
The bid award is for PUR 1418 heating, venting, air conditioning, and automatic temperature controls maintenance services for county facilities. We move to award the HVAC ATC contract to the responsible bidder of Mixed Plumbing out of Thermont, Maryland, based on their total base bid of $171,000, based on the hourly rates and formula contained in the bid document, the bid dated May 8, 2019. The county, on May 13th, the county accepted the bids for HVAC. It was advertised in the local paper, on the eMaryland Marketplace website, and on the county website. 13 companies downloaded the document. We did receive 2 bids. The contract term is for a one-year period, with the option for the county to renew up to 4 consecutive one-year periods. This bid also includes the Health Department and the county, Washington County Free Library. And funds have been budgeted in the line items for this commodity.
Questions? Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second. Second. First and second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Mr. Seifert, are you ready? You're up next.
Good afternoon.
What's this rumor you're retiring?
Oh, it's just a silly rumor.
Running rampant.
Are you old enough? I'm not sure yet.
Aren't you new here? Thank you.
It seems like it.
Thank you.
It's fast 30 years. Well, anyways, we have 3 rural legacy projects today.
And just generically, I'll mention the background for all three. These are FY19 funds from the state, part of a $2.3 million grant that we received. 100% of the costs are paid by the state. The easement dollars, administrative funds, compliance funds, all the title work and settlement costs, all covered. And with the Rural Legacy projects near the Antietam battlefield area, we try to preserve properties. First of all, they have to have development rights to extinguish. Then they have to have significant agricultural, environmental, and historic features, as all three properties do. Then we work out a value per acre, negotiate with the landowner, and get approval from DNR. So with that, the first project, Stillwater, is the Long family, Darren and Amy Long. And this one is for $84,000 for 32 acres, beef and chicken. You can see 26 acres of pasture, 5 acres of woodland. Now, also, they're doing a permitted use area whereby they have some commercial activities with agritourism, so we don't pay them for those areas, but the state allows it under permitted use. And this is a rare project in that we have a historic photo in your packet there. You should. Yeah. So Lincoln and McClellan, and right behind McClellan and the man with the hat in the background is the currently still existing spring house from Stillwater.
Yeah, I just, pardon the interruption, I attended a Civil War Roundtable event where Dennis Fry spoke about this. This is a very historic site in Washington County during our history of our country. Is that correct?
It is, and again, it's very rare that we can actually have documentation. And Dennis, in fact, verified this photo. The Stillwater has this on their website. And I went to Dennis and said, is this all legit? And yep, that's it. So they have verified it. So it's not often we get something like this to back up our historic presentation. So with that, do you want to vote on one at a time or all together?
Sure, we can just do one at a time. Is that all right, gentlemen? Commissioners, is there consensus to approve this first, the Long at 84,000?
I motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. First one approved. Thank you.
Just let me ask you, how much money, do we have to extinguish the money, or is that extinguished by the end of June? What we got? No, you don't have to extinguish that.
It goes by an annual grant agreement.
Right.
And the grant agreement is signed usually late in the fall whenever DNR gets it put together. We often will get an extension if we need to. We've never lost the money.
Okay, so it is possible, but you never let that happen.
We spend every penny in all the programs.
And it was like $2.5 million, I think, this year.
2.3 million.
2.3 million.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's I was just curious if it ran out and we get caught with money we didn't help with.
We spend it.
Okay.
We always that's Land Preservation 101. Spend all the money.
Does part of this funding pay for our time?
Yes, 3% admin. So we take the actual easement values. So you back off a little bit of title work and settlement costs of the 2.3 million, say 2 million plus. So you can see right there, $60,000 for admin costs.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So moving on to the Huffman project, this is just under 20 acres and same background information of requirements for rural legacy. So the project is $53,430. There is several historic features on this property. 4 development rights extinguished. Other than that, it has some horses, 8 acres of pasture, 3 acres of hay, and some woodland. Any questions on this one?
Commissioners, motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
First and second, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you.
Okay, finally, the Kemp property, Paul and Jolie Kemp. This property is 46 acres and $135,480. It's on Park Hall Road in Roarsville. 19 acres of hayland, 6 of pasture, and about 20 of woodland. You see there in your information, there was some Civil War traffic going on through that whole area at the time. And lots of other history in the area. Any other questions?
Motion?
Motion to approve.
Second, Mr. Baker, second. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Approved, all three.
Thank you.
Early congratulations on your retirement. Thank you for all your hard work in this program. I've asked you many times, how many acres do we have now?
Just a little over 33,000 acres.
And your goal or our goal was?
The goal was 50,000.
50, so 33,000 acres in long-term, or forever preservation? Is that-
Permanent preservation.
Permanent preservation, farmland, historic properties, earth that Lincoln walked on.
Permanently protected, yes.
So how many acres of permanent preservation did Washington County have the day you took the job?
It was in the lower thousand, like 3,000 or 4,000, I believe. I'm not 100% sure, but right in that range of permanent.
Well, it's quite an accomplishment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, sir. Review of Washington County addressing ordinance. I believe that's Jill Baker.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I am Jill Baker. I'm Deputy Director of the Department of Planning and Zoning. With me today, I have brought to my right Jennifer Kinzer, who is our GIS Coordinator for the county, also in the Planning and Zoning Office. I brought her along because she is integral in our department dealing with the Next Gen 911 issues the technology that's coming online. To my far right is John Baker. He is our GIS technician and also our address technician. I brought him along in case you had specific questions about addressing in Washington County. So with that, 2 weeks ago, the Board of County Commissioners heard a presentation given to them regarding the Next Gen 911 technology, and they were asked to approve a memorandum of understanding between the county and 8 of those 9 incorporated municipalities we have. That would be accepting the city of Hagerstown. Basically, what we were asking is for them to transfer authority for address assignment and maintenance solely to Washington County. So it would become our responsibility then to assign and maintain those addresses. Discussed and some questions that were brought up were about the actual violations, some concerns about the violation section of the ordinance. So what we have done is we've provided you a copy of the addressing ordinance as it's been adopted in your agenda packet. We've also attached a copy of the resolution that applies the violations if and when they are needed. And we've also, I think I also supplied the memorandum of understanding again as a copy in there. So basically, the addressing ordinance is only effective for areas that are outside of incorporated municipalities, or in the case of the Next Gen 911 service, we would then be responsible for assigning addresses within the incorporated municipalities. However, enforcement of addresses, we will not take over. That will remain with the municipalities. That is explicitly laid out within the MOU. We do not have the authority to assign violations within the incorporated municipality. They do have the option to adopt an ordinance similar to ours or even mimic ours, so that if they wish to assign their own violations, they may do so. As you see in the actual resolution that assigns the violation number, it is $75 per day for each day that penalty occurs. We want to be very clear that we have never assigned violations for this ordinance. We work diligently with our citizens to make sure that they are adhering to the ordinance, and we work hard to make sure that we never get to the point of a violation. That is our absolute last-ditch effort in those rare instances where we have to make sure that the public is safe. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. There is no recommendation or motion needed here. You simply wanted us to bring it back and talk to you a little bit, so I'd be happy to answer any questions or staff.
I want to say thank you for bringing the ordinance. Thank you very much. That was helpful.
Good, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, thank you very much.
Thank you, appreciate it.
We're running a little early, but I think POS people are here, correct? Please come forward, Andrew, thank you. Next up, the 2020 Annual Program Open Space Program Awards, I believe you would call it.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Andrew Eshelman, Director of Public Works, here before you to discuss the FY 2020 Annual Program Open Space Program. Per Program Open Space guidelines, each year the Board of County Commissioners is required to adopt the annual POS program. Various municipalities, the Board of Education, Hagerstown Community College, as well as the county submit projects for inclusion in the annual program. Based on available funds, a program is developed, giving consideration to priority rankings of the projects given by its sponsor. The projects are presented before the Recreation and Parks Advisory Board, and they did vote 5-0 at their 5/16 meeting to recommend the proposed schedule to the Board of County Commissioners for adoption. After adoption by the Board of County Commissioners, notification is provided to the sponsors as to which projects have been included in the program, along with their approval letters, and then this then allows the sponsors to apply for funding after July 1st. So if you look, the program schedule is included there, what we are recommending to be funded, the various municipalities as well as the projects listed, and the allocation as well as the split between acquisition funds, which are for additional open space acquisition, and the percentage then that's given towards development or capital type projects. 25% of the available funding must go to acquisition and 75% is for development. If there are any questions about the projects, I'm happy to answer those.
Commissioners, I'd ask Rob to make that informational purpose only, just so you all had time to review. But if you've had time to review and you're comfortable, I would certainly entertain a motion. I just wanted to be, since this is important, I wanted to make sure you all had time to review.
I'd just personally like to thank Andrew for being so involved in these POS funding requests and working with the Recreation Board, Parks and Rec Board. I know they're very pleased with your leadership and the questions that you ask and the involvement that they get to have in making decisions on where the funds go, unlike years past. Anyhow, I just wanted to thank you for your willingness to work with the Rec Board, the Park Board, and they're very, very pleased with your leadership.
Thank you. I think it's been good, and I'm looking forward to moving forward, even in the upcoming, cycle, as it'll really be my first year to work on it start to finish.
Okay, very good. Commissioners, if you'd so desire to vote on this today, that would be okay.
I'm okay with that. I do have a question, if I could. Are we anticipating all of these projects to be listed, to be funded? They are
Yes,
listed.
anything on the schedule will be funded. Essentially, we have our new allocation that's given to us, and we have our existing reserve balance, so they can be funded. And that's one thing we've been working towards, is trying to do some housekeeping items to clean things up, so that we're putting the money, into good use in a timely manner.
So the total is 1.22 million. Is that one? Is that?
Yes, and I will note, part of this is payoff of the Funkstown acquisition project loan. The county had an outstanding loan and agreement with the town, and so this allows that to get off our books.
And we get that acquisition of land as we're required by that program, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, the land's already been acquired, essentially was set up as a repayment through Program Open Space. They had some federal money involved, so this essentially clears that off our books. We had, I think, a 1% interest rate that we had, so the intent is to fully repay back that loan.
And Hagerstown has 4 projects totaling $316,000, right? Correct?
Theirs is 515,000 total project cost. 316,000 is Program Open Space. Yeah, some of that is they can propose a project and not request that it be fully funded by Program Open Space. They'll bring additional matching funds along with that.
Just for my information, just briefly, How do you come up with who gets it and who doesn't, and how? I mean, what's the pecking order?
I mean, that's something we work through. We send out the letters really in the fall. We receive applications. Some of that's very dynamic. Some of these projects didn't come to us until late April, last minute opportunities. And so you sort through those projects, they get presented in front of the board.
Yeah, the towns bring them in.
The towns bring them in. We ask them to be submitted by a certain deadline, but if somebody comes before us, the town of Clear Springs, an example, they've been trying to make headway with some of their flood-affected properties downtown.
Right.
Ask if there'd be funds available to move forward with the demolition of really an abandoned building, and we heard that request. Think it has merit, would allow them to move forward in the coming years with that project.
So your staff prioritizes what you think is.
We prioritize, and I will say not all projects are funded.
I know, that's what I was getting at.
Yeah, so essentially it's based on need and what we think, and not always based on funding everything that we get.
What do you think the dollar value is of those projects that weren't funded?
85,000.
85,000.
All right, commissioners, if your pleasure.
I'm okay with it, yeah.
Move forward, go ahead and make the motion.
I'd motion to approve.
Is there a second? Commissioner Baker nodded for a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. 5-0. Gentlemen, we're running a little early, but Mr. Eisman, is everybody comfortable moving forward with the Parks and Recreation Department realignment?
I did let them know that we would be talking, so it's all approved.
Thank you very much.
See ya. See you, Paul.
See ya.
That was quick.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
So next
Please-
item.
Yeah, please continue.
Yeah,
if
I
you're
do
ready.
have some things I want to pass out that didn't make it in here.
And while Andrew's passing those out, I'd like to bring a little bit of background to this request of the commissioner to the commissioners. Is that with Black Rock Golf Course, with Parks Recreation, there has been this board has expressed some interest in some renewed energy in those facilities, so that we can make the best use of those. Black Rock Golf Course is an enterprise fund, so we want to reduce the revenue request from Black Rock. So this is part of a very much larger scheme to get additional energy that Andrew and some staff at Black Rock and other facilities are bringing, with some new ideas and some renewed interest in those facilities. So Andrew has a lot more technical information, but I think in general, this is a very good thing that can serve the citizens with more going on in recreational facilities around Washington County.
Yeah, I think my intent here today is kind of provide some clarity to the decision that was made May 14th, 2019. The board here approved the move of the Recreation and Fitness Department from the Division of Health and Human Services to the Division of Public Works, with the intent to streamline planning and programming of resources and clarify the job description and responsibilities for the new Human Resource Division Director. And so what we'll talk about here is further clarifying this reorganization and how essentially recreation and fitness lands in Public Works, as well as lay out a proposed succession plan for retirement of key personnel. So nothing here is necessarily set in stone. It's I'd say a roadmap, a work in progress for some things we'd like to achieve. So, we welcome your comment and feedback here. So kind of a high-level overview of what we're looking to do here. I mentioned retirement of some key personnel, and one of those being the current Deputy Director of Public Works, Parks and Facilities is planning to retire at the end of the year. And so we have an opportunity here to put in place a reorganization and a succession plan that I think will achieve better alignment and focus on our parks, on our recreational programming, as well as facility maintenance within Public Works. And there's several things I think we're looking to accomplish by that. Rob mentioned one already, Black Rock Golf Course, and trying to create some better alignment and synergy with having different folks involved, and we've already been doing that functionally to some degree. And I think some of this just helps solidify some of the things we already are doing and help define more permanently some of the temporary roles that we've assigned to make that happen. So one of the things we're looking to accomplish is create a Parks and Recreation Department to allow greater focus on county quality of life and revenue generation opportunities to support programming. Nothing against the current structure. I think we have very capable people in place. Parks and facilities together, it takes very unique skill set. I think John Panisi, he does a wonderful job, and he will be sorely missed. But that is also a challenge in putting those two together and having someone who can command both of those skill sets. So I think in some regards, the Park and Recreation Department really puts us in the majority of what most other places are doing to align those together. Because in the Park and Recreation Department, yes, we're providing services, but there's also revenue generation that goes along with supporting programming. So the more that we can do to support that programming, to better support those efforts as well as expand our offerings, I think it's a win-win. So the other thing we would do is create a Buildings, Grounds, and Facilities Department, and that would allow greater focus on the operation and maintenance side of the county's buildings, parks, and facilities, so you're not split in your focus area. And I think real key point here is to capitalize and create opportunities for existing county personnel who have shown a willingness and capability to handle additional responsibility. I would not be here proposing this if I didn't think we had people in place that could already perform these roles, and some of that is finding where the strengths are for the people that we have and putting them in positions to succeed. And already mentioned the Black Rock Golf Course. That would move under our Parks and Recreation Department. I think it would allow better event planning, recreational programming opportunities, as well as some administrative support that would already be located within the department. The other thing on the operational side, as some existing legacy employees retire, we would look to transition from full to part-time staffing, as well as adjusting some positions grades where they're appropriate. So how we're going to do this is essentially eliminate a grade 17 department level management position, redistribute those savings to other positions to focus on the core needs within each respective department. There would be a new position created as a parks manager, grade 12, with the intent that they would focus on project development of park and recreation amenities. Just was here discussing program open space. That's certainly the most popular program, but it's by no means the only opportunity out there. And the hope would be that we could do a better job identifying our park and recreational needs and identifying ways to find additional grant funds outside of just program open space to help support that. So that individual would also be responsible for overseeing park attendance and Marty's Snook Pool. That's similar to a position we currently have, a parks facility supervisor who does some of those things, but there's just not always enough time for someone to focus on the park programming side. As far as the wage cost goes, it is anticipated to produce about $45,000 in wage savings relative to the current budget. That's only on the wage side, not even capturing what I think we can do and already are doing maybe on the revenue generation side to help support what the county already provides as far as programming to those facilities, which is a substantial amount. And essentially, if we didn't do anything and just filled the roles as they are, where we're at with that, it would be a nominal $10,000 or less savings. So I don't think in the wage side, it's not going to be an increase. It's going to result in a little bit of savings, but I don't want that to be the main focus. I think the synergy that we can generate is the real value here. So as far as the existing personnel affected by the reorganization, I have spoken to a number of the more senior folks that would be affected just to receive their input. I have by no means talked to everyone down the whole org chart before we receive some direction of what we want to do here, before we set anything in stone. So trying to respect both sides of that and not making it seem like it's presumptuous by any means. So there are some org charts here which explain how some of these positions will change. within those departments. Also passed out what that would look like as far as within the Division of Public Works. So as far as alternatives, we can keep the structure as is. I would assume recreation and fitness, the whole department would just move over as they kind of already were based on the previous vote on the May 14th. Or we can kind of set in motion this plan to let those individuals start performing their new roles and responsibilities, and then subsequent action would be taken upon retirement of the individuals that would actually allow those positions and the savings to be realized.
Andrew, on the overall scheme of what you proposed, how does it affect, other than, let me see how to put this. Briefly, tell me what you've accomplished, just briefly, 100 words or less. What can you accomplish by restructuring this?
I mean, if we just take, say, BlackRock, for instance, we've had a much more collaborative effort. Currently, the two individuals out there would be direct reports to me. And I think it takes a whole group of people and effort. We've really been relying upon the PR staff. And I think everybody brings their own skill set and value to that. So certainly if there's a recreational director, we have opportunity for additional programming.
So I'm on the board at BlackRock, you know that. We all work together. I've seen what's done to BlackRock. If it doesn't change, it's headed in a better direction. Is that your whole philosophy on this whole thing in every aspect?
Yes, more or less. I mean, any example, whether or not BlackRock, we certainly, we pulled the numbers here just for the last 2 months. The month of May, we did $24,000 more than last year to date. Now, that's by no means to say we've solved the problem, but we're headed in the right direction.
Despite the rain, the marketing department, public relations has constantly got BlackRock on social media. I think, of course, I do social media. I've seen a lot more presence of BlackRock in the events, from the anniversary to the next tournament that we have coming up soon. So there's been a lot more presence out there with the name BlackRock.
Yes, and we're trying to, like I said, put it in better alignment with some of the other facilities we have. I mean, you're aware of the agricultural education facility. That's another event center that the county has, where there's a beautiful facility there, opportunities to have events. That's additional revenue for the county. It helps promote business and tourism. We have the pool, same thing. There's numerous opportunities, I think, within Parks and Recreation to better support each other and have that housed kind of under Public Works and put people in place that make that happen. So currently I've tapped shoulders and asked people to help in that way, just like what we're doing at BlackRock. But those people haven't been given permanent assignments to that. And so, to be fair to them, that's not sustainable, and you don't want them getting burned out, and they should be recognized for their efforts, because it's by no means just me.
Right.
How many upgrades are taking place?
Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 proposed.
So you have 7 upgrades, and you're still going to have a small decrease in wages.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, we're taking obviously the grade 17 position and doing away with that. One of the individuals is currently a supervisor of operations, a grade 14, that position goes away. So I have a spreadsheet where I have the individuals, to be respectful of their, confidentiality, and if you want to bring that up now, we can go there, but did lay out a roadmap of positions essentially that would be eliminated or available versus upgrades, new positions opened that would be maybe different than they're currently structured, and how that all nets out in the end.
Have you tested the waters with these? I mean, morale-wise, obviously, this is not like a big secret. Have you been around and talked to some of the upper grades and?
Well, there's 3 individuals in the back row that are here right now. I mean,
No, I
like
know
said,
I know the one on the right's happy and the one in the middle's happy and the other one on the end.
I can't, to the earlier question, I haven't talked to everybody in the whole org chart.
I understand, but morale-wise, what do you expect?
I think it's a positive thing in that it's allowing opportunity for advancement for people that have been doing that work, and not to say there's never going to be a future change, but it's good to know that there's an opportunity and a path forward in these areas. I don't know if that answers the question. I think it's well received. The individuals
I
in the
just
back
wouldn't want to
probably
destroy
know.
a whole huge department morale by. That's all I'm concerned with. The employees, the community, the citizens that work for us in the county. I don't want to crush all the morales because I got to depend on you what you're telling me on restructuring.
Yes, and I've had the conversation with the individuals in the back,
Right.
and I think, one may not be present here, but I would prefer to let them speak about that.
Yeah,
We're good. I'm good.
I don't need to speak to them, but I want to ask you a question. You're under.
All you have to do is look at the.
They're happy.
Yeah, they're happy.
Improvement that you're seeing at the golf course and the finances and I think the really great addition's going to be, what was it, the grade 12?
The parks manager.
Yeah, they're going to help figure out how to generate more revenue for our programs or through our programs and so forth. I think that's really positive.
Yeah, I have a question. Is this just an error? Under Highway Department Deputy Director, grade 18, Administrative Assistant, that's grade 10. Should that be a grade 9? Is that an error?
I think
'Cause the
that's
other
what it
ones are
is.
saying
I mean,
grade
that's
9.
an unrelated matter, but I think that is correct.
Yeah, I just don't want to prove it if that's a typical.
That's essentially just to show the change between the parks and facilities and the golf course. Really, nothing's proposed to be changed under Highway Department and
That's really a
Transit
grade
and all
9,
those.
Not a 10 is printed
I
there.
think it is what it is.
Yeah, there's a 9. Chris is pointing at a 9 and 8 under Parks and Rec. I'm just pointing at if it's a.
I think some of it is it's what it's been up to this point, and there's 88 full-time employees out at highways. There's 23, I think, at parks and facilities right now. So I mean, some of this was discussed in the salary study and those changes. So I was looking for parity because right now there is, I think, a grade 8 and there's a grade 6 office administrator. They both essentially perform the same functions. So the idea is that the 6 would move up to an 8. One would be assigned to parks and one would be assigned to the facilities.
You were mentioning there was extra responsibilities with these upgrades. Do you have a list of their existing responsibilities and what the upgrades would justify with additional responsibilities?
We could get there. I did not take the step yet to rewrite job descriptions, which I think would be essentially I would come in with the track changes saying.
I would have liked to have seen that today to make the fair judgment. I believe your word, but I'd like to have seen them in writing.
Yeah, and I think that's what we say, high level. We talked about, do we take that step today because there's some effort. I think there's still going to be more feedback now that this is out publicly. And if I get a sense of you're in general support, I can talk to the next tier of people to say, does this make sense to you?
When would the upgrades take place?
Well, I mean, the
When would
retirement I
this-
don't think is occurring to the end of the year. So in some ways, some of these positions, those funds wouldn't be available unless you essentially, it's going to be an additional cost.
Right, we would need to see the retirement occur before the upgrades would occur.
Now, in any other part of our budget that's coming up today, was there any other upgrades included or taken out of it to bring a balanced budget forward? Were there any other departments receiving upgrades or considered?
No.
So this would be the only department that would be getting upgrades in the 2020 budget? Would that be an accurate statement?
I don't know if it's accurate to say that these
Be upgrades, it'd be in the 2020 fiscal year.
these are there's actually an overall savings, and I don't know if that
Yeah,
45,000.
but I've never seen a restructuring that didn't say we're gonna have savings. We have retirement, we have people getting upgrades. I'm getting complaints from the highway department, I'm getting complaints from the police. We upgraded EDC, we upgraded IT, when are we going to look at the other departments and do upgrades as well? I've never seen a restructuring that wasn't met. The other people, with no offense to my friends up there, but it looks like we're becoming top-heavy. We're recreating and restructuring. What happened to the highway restructuring? Are we going to go back and do that position? And that's my only concern. And why I asked about when these upgrades begin, if this budget goes through later, everybody's going to get a 2.5% raise on top of their upgrade. And I've got employees, you're talking about morale, my phone's off the hook with people wanting to know when they're going to get their upgrade. And it looks to me, the appearance is we're just doing a reconstructing to save money, but we're giving.
Actually, the purpose, President Klein, if I may say, the purpose of this, there is an overall savings. I'd like to go back to the original.
It says up to anticipated 45,000.
I'd like to go back to that original question and try to put in layman's terms what the intent was, and then the commissioners can decide if they wish to proceed with this or not. But I don't believe the 45,000 is actually shown in our budget. It's not anticipated in the 2020 budget.
The 2020 budget budgets for the existing positions as they are today.
As they are today. So there is no change in those. This is brought forward because several commissioners have asked for some type of realignment in recreation, and that has been a long-standing request. This actually takes recreation from HR and puts recreation in those facilities.
Human resources and health.
Human resources. It is now human resources according to the commissioner's approval last on May 14th, I believe. It takes recreation out of human resources and places it with the facilities. So the responsible charge for the facilities and the programs that happens at those facilities are within the same organization. That's the streamlining. And if the commissioners so choose, they certainly don't have to support it. Staff has gone through an incredible amount of effort to try to do this, to encourage the benefits like we've seen at BlackRock. I think Andrew and his staff have worked hard to bring some additional energy. There is more responsibility with the upgrades that are being stated. Certainly we can bring those before you. But if the commissioners decide they don't want to consider this any further, we can absolutely.
Can I interject something? I'm always devil's advocate here. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. I think we have some good leadership, and President Klein, I know what you're saying, and I don't disagree, but I also think that our objective here is to condense, and I know we're growing a little bit. You say top heavy, but forget the money from it. We're still saving a little bit of money, but to become the most efficient government we can become. And I've seen it. We keep mentioning BlackRock. Okay, that's just a segment, but don't we have to start somewhere and grow it through the whole government? That's what I'm hoping happens. I saw BlackRock already pick up probably, Dave, I'm gonna go out on a limb, probably 60,000 better than what it did this time last year. Would I be close?
We've had a lot of rain too, haven't we?
Yeah. So, my logic at looking at this is we start here, we go to this department, go to this department. Only thing I'm concerned with is morale of employees, as long as we don't step over people. And I don't think you're doing that. If we can just go from department to department and keep doing this strategy, this is sort of a test to see how it works. I'm probably more likely going to support it. So, I just, only because I like new thinking and not the same old way, new efficiencies maybe.
Which department would you recommend to be next?
That's really not my job. We'll let staff recommend it, and we'll decide if it is our job.
You're long enough to
But anyway, that's my 2 cents
Yeah,
worth.
as far as number of supervisors, I don't know that those numbers are changing, and because there's so many differences, because we are taking away a grade 17 position, and so those responsibilities need to be redistributed to other individuals. So I can certainly take the next step and work with the people who would be affected, get input from the people that they supervise, propose drafts for the position changes, because I don't want to characterize this as just selecting individuals and saying, we're selecting you to receive an upgrade. Because a number of these people specifically I've already been asking them to do additional roles and responsibilities beyond what their pay grade is. So they could easily come in and say, I'm done, it's not in my job description. So I would recommend it, if I could, to take the next step to talk to those individuals and work on the job descriptions.
Estimated 45,000, is that wage, benefits, everything included? Or is that just what's
That's
your
just-
estimate of wages?
That's just wages, because benefits gets to be so convoluted.
You're looking at least 35% for benefits, and it depends. Yeah.
Let me ask you
I was wondering.
one more question. What's our return on our rec programs? Jamie said one time, he told me it's about 30, 40 cents out of the dollar. Is that pretty? Now, I understand why, because I've been a child of rec departments growing up, so I understand that. So what about is it, Jamie, what'd you think?
It's close to 40%, 30 to 40%.
Okay. All right, I have
Are you looking for a motion to move forward? Is that what you're looking
Well,
for?
I think here today, there's no imperative to make action today. The other area is
Well, there is, I'm gonna, if I could step in here, there is some imperative because back on May 14, HR was renamed HR and recreation was removed from HR. So right now, recreation, which is Jamie, is floating under the premise that it would come over to Public Works. So there is some premise to say how we are moving forward, certainly.
I make a motion to move forward.
I have a motion on the floor. I hear a second from Mr. Kiefer. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All in favor, say no. No. 4-1, it passed. Thank you, Mr. Eichmann.
all right. Thank you.
All right, to our friends from Rockwell, is anybody here from that? All right, we're way ahead of schedule on you. Would you like for us to wait if you have any more people? We could go to a brief recess. I'll trust. Would you like us to go to a brief recess while your other person arrives? All right, Commissioner would express that courtesy. Thank you. Brief recess. Thank you very much.